Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Success Principles by Successful Principles. For the ones who know me, my name is Kamalneet Singh. For the ones who don't, the name is still Kamalneet Singh. The name doesn't change, right? So, you know that we are doing this series to reach out to parents and make parents available with some great content, great wisdom, which is available with educators across the country and to their school structures. And now is the time that we make it available to all the parents from all categories so that they can make a slight change in their way of parenting, which can actually benefit their own kids. We know that in our country, perhaps across the world, there is a degree to manufacture everything, right from a pin to a gigantic plane. But when it comes to parenting, there is a lot of trial and error that is done, and sometimes it is good. But a lot of times, when we do not know what is the result of that experiment, sometimes it can be damaging, and sometimes the damage is irreparable. And that's how we thought, let's do this series and bring the wisdom out from wonderful people and make it available to parents all across. Now, in this episode, I'm excited about this episode. We have somebody who is extraordinary. We have somebody who has seen the school from a certain phase to a phase where the school has made a huge impact in the lives of thousands of kids. And I've personally had the privilege to be interacting with the teachers in the school. We have with us Mrs. Vandana Chawla, the principal of the school, New Era Public School, Mayapuri, Delhi. Now, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure for me to be interacting with her. Somebody who is the recipient of Delhi State Excellence Awards 2016, somebody who believes in teaching and not just teaching but also guiding, mentoring, going out of the way to help kids, and somebody who is very, very passionate about reading, somebody, and that is one thing that is common, by the way, and somebody who believes that a child should be prepared for the real exam called life, a great focus on holistic development, somebody who believes that a mantra I believe you possess is that learning never stops, and somebody who keeps learning something or the other, has had the privilege of learning from institutions such as Harvard, IIMs, and many, many, many more. Somebody who feels that we as a school, we as the teachers, we as the institution can make a huge difference in the life of a child, and somebody who has seen the journey herself. She started her journey in 1982, by the way, off records. I was not even born then. Somebody who started her journey in 1982 and then got appointed as a principal in 2003, and has had a huge journey, and the school has earned a very, very favorable reputation in the market given the efforts made by the whole team, and I believe that you have a great team. They say that teamwork makes the dream work, and at New Era Public School, New Delhi, the team is phenomenal because I've had the privilege to meet them personally. Now, all the parents across the world, they have one or two common objectives, which is my child should become successful, my child should have a lot of values, my child should really leave a mark. And the definition of success can be very, very different from one parent to the other. So, madam, first of all, thank you for being a part of this episode.
Thank you for having me.
And such an honor, such a pleasure to be interacting
Thank
with you. Now, the audience would really love to have your perspective on the fact that everybody wants to be successful. Every parent would want that their kids should be successful. What's your take? What does it take for a child to be successful in the real life, beyond the four walls of the school?
Well, that's a very, very tough question, and it's very difficult to answer it in one quality. That, okay, if a child possesses this one quality, he or she will be successful. So there's a whole range of things that a child needs to acquire in early childhood, which will eventually, I beg your pardon, make the child a successful human being. One of the things that I believe children need to be taught is a simple concept called delayed gratification. With the kind of commercial world we live in and the kind of bombardment that children have from the media of various objects and things of interest, it's very easy for a parent to get tempted into buying your child one thing or the other or giving in to something. A child must be made to understand that everything comes, but at a certain time. So just because your pocket is full and you can afford all the luxuries in the world, don't just hand them over to your child. Make sure that your child knows the value of work and the value of the effort that he or she needs to put in into schoolwork or homework or maybe some practice that he or she needs to do, and rewards come after that. So because if you start rewarding your child for just because he's your child, that practice of rigor and hard work will not be instilled in your child. And having said that, I think that one of the most important values that a child needs to have is to learn how to work hard. And hard work actually is not hard. Hard work is simply doing the right thing at the right time with the right intensity and for the right period of time.
That's a brilliant mantra.
Yeah. So I think that hard work is something that needs to be taught to children from a very early age, and without it having the connotations of it being hard like a stone.
Sure.
You know, I think that simply by explaining to the child that a few hours of work today is going to benefit him in the class tomorrow, or a few hours of practice at whatever he or she is doing, if he or she is learning a musical instrument, is eventually going to make him a better player of the musical instrument and so on. So I think that the one point I said was delayed gratification, and the second is the value of hard work.
Wonderful. So all the parents watching out there, it brings a laughter on my face thinking that, when you go to a toy showroom, when you go to the market, you see these kids throwing tantrums, and just to probably get away from all the tantrums that the kids are showing, a lot of times, parents, I know you're looking at me and I know that you might not like this, but then a lot of times you actually buy them what they demand, not because they really want it, but you want it to be obscured of the fact that it can be a public embarrassment. And that's where I think the point that's a very crucial point of delayed gratification. And I think inbuilt in the delayed gratification is the point of hard work.
Yes, absolutely. They both go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
Yes.
And when you put in the hard work, when your child puts in the hard work, he knows that yes, there is light at the end of the day, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I am going to be rewarded for all my efforts that I'm making. And I know some of you would be smiling, thinking that yes, I am that parent who actually ends up giving the stuff when the things are getting tough in the public domain. So delayed gratification and the value of hard work. Wouldn't you see that for a child to learn hard work, he would also look up at the parents?
Oh, absolutely. You see, parents are the first teachers of the child. And the example that a parent sets is inescapable. So, when you see your child misbehaving or your child not performing, it's pretty much a reflection of who you are. I'm not saying that there are no, alternatives to that, or there's no aberration to that rule. But most of the time, it is simply what the child has learnt at home in terms of the value of discipline, the value of continued practice, the value of ensuring that everything is done at a particular time in the right manner for all the members of the household. You know, if you have, say, an elderly person in your household, and you make sure that every day, if the elderly person, your mother-in-law, your mother, or an aunt, wants a cup of tea at 4 o'clock, you will make sure that cup of tea is provided to that person at 4 o'clock, and the child is watching very carefully. And if you become casual and you become, lackadaisical about it, the child will start treating the world like that. So apart from this, I mean, of course, you have to sit down with your child and have conversations also. But examples are very big teachers.
True. I see that you're also a storehouse of a great vocabulary. Brilliant. So again, I think yes, as a parent, if you would want your kids to develop a certain kind of vocabulary, he or she would also look up to you. Now that's one. Now you started as a teacher. You worked at the ground level. You saw how things are being done. You dealt with the kids. You dealt with the situations. You dealt with the parents. And now today you are managing the whole school as an administrator. Now, quite a journey, right? And the school has earned a very good name in the market, and it doesn't come just like that. It comes with the hard work, the principle that you spoke about. Now, tell us from your angle what helped you in becoming successful. What would that mantra be? Hard work, I know. We know the answer.
Well, I think one of the mantras that I was taught as a child was don't give up. If you started something, you got to see it to the end. Uh, Leaving anything halfway is not an option. You know, a lot of children, a lot of younger people, a lot of adults as well, you know, we get interested in one thing and then we start and then we give up. But I seem to remember my father saying this when we were young, that if you started something, it is your responsibility to take it to its ultimate goal, whatever it might be. So I think that in itself is a kind of a mantra that, you know, is inbuilt inside me, that I started this, I must do it. Also, I think that as a young person growing in my family, I was given a lot of freedom to use my own initiative, you know. And I was encouraged every time I showed any initiative. I was encouraged, I was given a pat on the back. Oh, wow, you did this on your own. You know, for example, if the cook at home was not well, I would go into the kitchen and say, oh, he's not well, he's not able to cook something. Why don't I just make dinner for everybody? And, you know, little things like that. Or if my sister's homework is not done and my mother's busy, I would delve into her diary and, you know, look at her work and say, okay, can I help you in any way? Let me help you. So I think initiative was something that was encouraged. So little things like this, you know, were.
And small is big.
Yes, yes. It starts small, becomes big.
Great. So, initiatives, encouragement really makes a huge difference. In fact, I was hearing that there's a survey which says that for every one compliment that a child gets, there are about 10 rebukes.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, imagine one compliment and 10 rebukes, it can damage a child's self esteem. So, I think we can reverse the message that is coming from Madam is that we reverse the equation.
Can I just say
Sure,
something
please,
here?
please.
It's very important to rebuke also.
Right.
Because, see, they're children and they will not do everything the right way.
True.
But there is a particular way in which the rebuke also should be undertaken, so to speak. So, you know, we used to hearing older people in fact, when I was growing up, if you did something wrong, you know, you're always like this, you are never responsible. So, not only are you blaming the child for doing something he's done wrong at that time, but you have reinforced a particular belief inside the child that you're like this and there's nothing that can be done about you. I think for all parents it's very important to make the child understand that you are not criticizing or rebuking the person, you are rebuking or criticizing the act. So the moment you do that, you remove that personal element in that attack, so to speak. When a child perceives that he or she is not being attacked and is being told or advised that this is not a good practice, try not to do that again. But saying something like this, that you've done this, oh, last week you did this and the week before you did that, and next week I'm sure, and for the rest of your life you'll do exactly the same thing.
So actually, what you're saying is that the parent is only reinforcing the belief,
Yes,
even if it is not supportive.
absolutely.
And
So you must criticize the act
And
and
not
not the person.
I think this is something that we should all. This is a gold mine, and take this back home. All the parents watching now, you know that I know that there are things that kids would do which would not be according to our ways of life. And so Madam gave a golden. It's actually a gem. What you said was that if there is something which is wrong, which is not the way you think it should be, segregate the person with the act or the behavior. That's what I got. So
You know, the thing is, very often in life, the point of argument is something so basic, like, you buy a dress and you like blue,
Yeah.
but you bring it home and, you show it to your elder sister or your mother, and she says, if you brought green, it would have been better. I mean, the fact is, blue and green are both colors.
True.
So how can one be better than the other?
True.
There is a particular way of doing things, and sometimes when children are not able to follow those so-called set patterns which are there in the family,
True.
it is not to be rebuked, but to explain to them why in this family
True.
this is the appropriate path. When you grow up and you have your own family, please find your own path.
True, true. You remind me of something very personal, and I'm just hoping my wife does not watch this particular episode, but I have something to share. So we were supposed to go to a family function, and then it was in the evening. My wife ended up, opening the wardrobe, and she said, which one do I wear? And she pulled out one, and she said, how is this looking? And I said, it's looking good. And she said, should I wear this one? I said, yeah, please go ahead. And she said, wait a second, how about this one? And I was like, this is also good. And she's like, which one? I said, go for the second one. And to which she said, but when I showed you the first one, you never showed that initiative in saying that, do you have more? Give me some more options.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, listen, we have to go to a
I
wedding.
know.
Let's not get into this.
Yeah.
So I think what I wanted to pick up was that sometimes simple little things and can have an impact. And so as a father, I see that, whatever we are doing, whatever we are talking about, whatever whatever conversation is happening at home, my son is watching. I have a 4.5-year-old notorious son, and I love the way that he is notorious. And
so I can give you an example which has happened only a few days
Sure.
ago with me.
Sure.
I was told that my car had been challaned.
Okay.
I mean, you can edit that out if you want. My car had been challaned,
Right.
and there were 4 challans.
Right.
One, my driver was driving.
Hmm.
3 times, my son, who's 32, was driving my
Right.
car. So I told my driver that you were driving, whatever is the challan amount, you're going to have to pay. For my son, I paid, but I called him and I told him, you were driving my car and there was a challan, 3 challans. Could you make sure that the next time you drive, that you're more mindful of traffic rules? Now I will. So he said, sure, Mom. I'm comparing this with something that possibly I have seen happen maybe 20 years ago when I was a younger person and my husband or my brother, we were part of a family where we were told, फिर तुम गाड़ी लेके गए थे और चालान कर दिया, आगे से भाई मेरी गाड़ी मत लेके जाया करो. Now look at the two things. I don't want to stop my son from driving any car that he wants which belongs to our family. But I want to bring it home to him that it's not cool. If you're doing it out of carelessness, just become a little more mindful. You see, what you do then, you take the bite out of the bite, so to speak.
True.
You have made your point very clearly,
True.
but it doesn't hurt the other person.
I think this is one skill that all the parents watching
Must have.
Must. I think if I have to pull out one thing from the conversation, all this one that we've had, I think this is the one. If you can convey a point without really hurting the sentiments of your
Of the other
child,
person, yeah.
and if you can drive the point home for them, this is going to make a huge difference. And I think I'll buy your principle wherein you said segregate the act from the person. So segregate the act from the person is the mantra to remember. Now we are talking about how parents should be role models and what is it that they can do. So extending on the same, what would be your top 3 ideas for the parents that will help them raise their kids in a better way?
Give abundant love and do not make love conditional to their performances. So this is a very subtle line that they have to find between delayed gratification, and giving them unconditional love. Because the fact is that our lives are so high pressured, parents included, that there's a constant race to have your child achieve what so and so's child has achieved, and
Especially
what
the neighbor.
yeah. So I saw a WhatsApp or Instagram today, very funny one, where this girl comes to her mother and says, "Do you know the neighbor's girl ran away?" Says, "So what should I do? Aren't you going to tell me to be like her?" You see, because we constantly compare children.
True.
So the one thing is, firstly, give them unconditional love for who they are, not for what they can be. They are who they are at this particular moment. You love them because they are your child, and you will not love them more just because they get more marks. So I recall a time when my child, my elder child, was maybe in class 3 or 4, and she, I think, got a D in something and made it into a B. And it was very obvious to me that she made it into a B. And I told her, I gave her a big hug and all, and I said, "I know you probably didn't study hard, and it's my fault. I also didn't spend time with you to make you study. But remember that this B or this A or this A plus matters to you. It doesn't matter to me because I will love you no matter how your grades are." And somehow that has stayed with her for the rest of her life. And my children are not, I don't think they are outstanding academicians and influencers or anything, but they are just grounded, good people, good human beings.
That's all we need.
So that's, as I said, one, give them unconditional love. Two, very important, you must get your child to develop a skill in childhood. Whether it is a dance form, whether it is a musical instrument, whether it is singing or playing chess or any sport outside, a skill, a true skill based activity. It's not for them to become, you know, chess players like something out of the Queen's Gambit, which is going around these days, the Netflix show, or to become champion football players or maestros.
So that's
But they could be.
Yeah.
They could
They
if
could
they
be.
want to. But you see, this is my belief.
Right.
I'm not a psychology major, but as an educator, it is my belief very clearly that if you skill your child, there is a certain kind of neuron network that develops in the brain, which ultimately helps the child in whatever he or she wants to do. Now, you remarked at the beginning of this interview that I have a very good vocabulary or that I read. So, I may not have formally acquired a skill at a younger age, but reading is a skill that I developed possibly from the age of 5, and it's carrying on till today, and it has stayed in my memory. The things that I've read as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 40-year-old, because I have become so attuned uh, to catching the substance of what I read. I will add something to this here. All of us, I think, know this. People who have read a lot know this, that there is a theory that if you have done something for 10,000 hours,
Yes.
you are a maestro at it, right? I read somewhere a very long time ago when I was a young girl that it was about Sunil Gavaskar, that why is he considered such a great player? That when he stands at the crease with the bat, and he sees the bowler going towards the point from where he's going to turn and then run back, from the back of the bowler, he knows what kind of ball this person is going to throw towards me. Meaning that the instinct is so well developed that he understands he anticipates what's going to happen. So I feel that a skill of any kind hones the neural networks of the brain of any human being, and later is a great foundation for anything else that the child is going to do as an adult. So that was two. And the third is encourage children to take part in as many group activities as possible when they are in school. I have another theory, which is that anything that is a group activity, which is whether it's for a singing, dancing, or a sport, not individual, not skill based, but group activity, is a great developer of personality, of kindness, of generosity, of spirit, of compassion towards the world. When you become part of a whole, you understand what your place is in the whole, and that the whole, WHOLE, would be that much less without you. So those three things are very
Super.
important.
I'm sure parents out there, you're watching fully immersed into it, and in fact, it's a great learning. What you spoke about the neural network is again very interesting. So, when I wrote The Extraordinary Kids, and in one of the chapters, I have mentioned something very similar. Now, when a child actually builds a new skill, he can also reflect back to the fact that he has a certain skill, and it also improves his self-esteem,
Oh, of course.
his self-confidence, and that makes a huge difference. And I think that's what you said. So if
Absolutely.
you have a skill, that will help you in any area and every area of your life.
Yeah. Can I just say something?
Sure, please.
I have read somewhere that particularly in Israel and Jewish families, they are very particular about their children learning piano. Because I believe, I don't know, that the piano is a very difficult instrument to learn, and that in particular has a lot of contribution to play in the development of the neural networks that we are talking about. And as a result of that, if you notice that a lot of the outstanding scientists and lot of other
People in the creative
experts
fields.
in
Yes.
the creative fields are from Jewish families. Could be something to do with that. I think I will go and do a research on this.
That's a good observation. So for parents out there, now that you want your kids to be a certain way, there is a good hint, not a hint. I think you've given it out for them.
Yeah.
That
Not
your
the
child
piano,
can-
any instrument.
Any instrument. And in fact, I'll touch on what you said in terms of reading. So I keep meeting a lot of parents, and they say, we want our kids to be great orators, great speakers, and we have been hearing this term that readers are leaders and leaders are readers. But to take it forward from what you said, uh, you're a fabulous orator, and I will connect it back to the fact that you said you started reading at the age of 5. So parents out there, you have a hidden secret which is no more hidden now. If you want your kids to be good orators, good speakers, and reading is something which will really come in handy.
And then to add to that, I'll tell you a simple tip. If you feel your child is not reading, look around your home. Do you have books? If you don't have books, magazines, publications, the printed material, he or she is not going to read. So, a simple tip, start subscribing to an English magazine, a Hindi magazine. Let your outings and enjoyment trips to wherever, to the mall, be about eating ice cream and golgappa and whatever. But how about once a month taking your child to a bookstore? Because there is no other tool more inspiring than going into a bookstore and thumbing through whatever book you come across, and sometimes just one word will catch your fancy. I think this book has caught your fancy.
Sure.
Can you teach a zebra some algebra?
I love the title.
Yeah.
Can you teach a zebra some
Some
algebra? And so I'm a firm believer that one statement in a book, one line in a book, can shift the way you look at something. It can be a perspective shifter, and that makes all the difference. And I don't know what is the view of the camera right now, but right on the right hand side there is a huge set of books that we have, and a brilliant set of books. And what this also means is that I'm going to extend it to a point that when you say that one should read, you're also a role model because you're doing it yourself.
Absolutely.
And what ringed a bell for me was when you said that as a parent sometimes you complain कि हमारा बच्चा पढ़ता नहीं है, read नहीं करता, and all of that. And what you asked was very powerful. That do you have books around is something that I'm reiterating for all of you. Do you have that environment around you, which you would want your child to pick up as a habit? It's a very powerful one.
And let me share with you, this was something which was very awe-inspiring for me. I visited a friend once, a long way off. She lives in Alibag, out of Bombay's coast and all that. And as I entered her home, there's a kind of a like a passageway, and it had bookshelves on either side and lots of books. And then one other room which was her office. She's a psychologist, so she had books there. So I said, there are books in the doorway and the passageway and books in your office.
Yeah.
Why are those books there? She says, I don't have enough place in my house, in this office for these books. Those books, I have decided either I have duplicate copies or I don't need them for my work and my personal reading any longer. When people come into my home and when they are leaving, I tell them, out of this, if you want to take one or multiple books, please take them, be my guest.
Wow.
So today's interview has reminded me that I'm also going to keep I don't have that many books, but I think I can have a bookshelf in my home, which I could offer as a gift to people visiting my home or even my office. I think I'd like to do that. I think that is better. Come and take a book.
Wonderful. So on the way out,
Yes.
I'm picking one book. So
Absolutely.
yes, I think what is also hidden in what you said is when you do this, you're also teaching your child indirectly the art of giving.
Absolutely.
The art of giving, because the world is about getting these days, and I'm saying this on the camera, and there is very little about giving. So I think what you said is also about giving. So you do a lot of things in the school to ensure that your kids learn the best. Share with us some things that you do to help the kids stand out, because I have friends who passed from the school and I see them doing very well. So I want to know the mantra, what's happening inside.
Okay, a very long time ago, somebody told me that sometimes when we see you in the school, you have this face that come talk to me. And sometimes when we see you, you have a this face, which means don't come and talk to me. I swore that day that I would, in the school, never have this face again. It would always be this face. So I am absolutely sure that when I step out of my office and I walk through the corridors of the school, anybody can come up to me, talk to me. I'm eminently approachable. I welcome everyone who's in the school, teachers and children. And the other thing that we have done is again related to reading. We have a reading project in the school where we ensure that children read starting from class 1 going up to grade 12 at least 5 to 6 books every year. And these are books that are not prescribed by any syllabus or curriculum. These are books that are popular reading. They could be books that are on bestseller lists. Of course, we kind of go through them to make sure that there's nothing objectionable.
Content is appropriate.
Yeah. So classics, mystery novels, Agatha Christie, Nancy Drews, philosophy, self-help. Like a few years ago, there was a book that was really doing, the circles of popularity, Many Lives, Many Masters,
Yes.
where they spoke about reincarnation.
Yes.
And we encourage the children to read it because it opened their minds to another dimension. We don't know whether it's true or not, but
True.
let's get them to think about something different.
A new perspective.
A new perspective completely. And I firmly believe that by 15, a child is a really ready adult. He doesn't even wait, she doesn't need to wait till she's 18.
Sure.
It's only that the school is like a construction site where there are, those bamboos and all that we have provided, that the child doesn't kind of fall or tip over. But otherwise, the child is all geared up now to become an adult.
I taking from what you said, I read it somewhere. What we train them, what we train the brain till 16 serves till 60, and that's exactly what you said. So I would really like to bring this thing on record that I get to meet a lot of students who are pass outs from New Era Public School. One thing common that I've always seen them is that they are very good orators. They're very good communicators. So, and I kept wondering that what is it that happens in the school that all of them are good at speaking, all of them are good communicators. Today I know. And all the teachers out
You're
there.
very kind. You're very kind.
No, this is, since the camera is on, I can probably take a few names. A pass out from your school, Miss Anya Handa, she's in the education industry. And one of the most prolific orators I've seen is a pass out from your school, and we have worked together. So yes, all the teachers, in fact, not only parents, but all the teachers and educators out there watching this, this is something that can be taken, can be borrowed from you.
Absolutely.
That the reading project must be on from a young age in all the schools. And you said that they read about 5-6 books a year,
Yeah,
and
more
than that.
And it's so encouraging because sometimes you give them 5.
Yeah.
When the school year starts in April. By 15th of May, there are children in classes who've read all 5, and teachers come and say, there are children in my class who've read all 5. They're saying, okay, give us 5 more.
Yes, 5 more.
So we give them the names and we tell them go out and buy them.
True. Not that they only improve their communication skills, but their perspective is a very broad one now, having read so many books. So this is indeed a brilliant input coming in from your end. Now, something that I would like to ask, which is probably, which is off on a different tangent altogether. Now, we know about the academic side of it, we know about the overall development side of it, we know about the traits that you offered. We would like to know something a bit on the personal side. And so, a cuisine that you love.
Oh dear. Okay, what I love is really Chinese food, but I don't eat much.
You don't eat much?
No.
Okay.
Because it's quite fattening.
Okay.
And very heavy on salt.
Okay.
So
Chinese lovers out there must be
Yeah.
wondering.
yeah, the soya sauce and all the condiments are extremely weight gaining, I would say, because of the salt content. So, especially during this lockdown period, I have tried to not order in from anywhere. I'm loving home cooked food more than anything else. My favorite dish of all time, everybody who knows me in the school knows, is Rajma Chawla.
Wow, I think together.
Yeah.
So your favorite book?
I don't think I could have a favorite book, but I will give you a favorite author. There's an author who's, God bless him, died. His name is Wayne W. Dyer. W-A-Y-N-E. Wayne Dyer was, I think, one of my most favorite authors, and I realized when I started reading him a long time ago that he's very profoundly influenced by the Gita. And a lot of his books are based on Hindu philosophy and the philosophy of the Gita.
True.
And in particular, I have loved his one book, which is called Manifest Your Destiny.
Wonderful.
Which I absolutely love. I have it at home and I constantly refer to it, just to remind myself of something that I had read a long time ago. Yeah. And there is one other book.
So before you by Wayne Dyer? Okay, which is the next?
No, the other book is not by Wayne Dyer.
So before we get to the second book, there is something I can't really
withhold.
He's also my favorite author.
Oh dear. Okay, shake on it.
So 1940, this gentleman was born, and he passed in 2015. But he has left a legacy, and he has left a legacy of change in terms of thought. There are books. One is You Will See It When You Believe It, Power of Intention, Manifest Your Destiny. He speaks about a couple of things that have profoundly impacted my life.
Yeah.
Profoundly. And just last night, I was reading a book the same book, you will see it when you believe it.
It.
And there is a chapter called Detachment, and I was reading it last night. And small world, small world.
Absolutely.
And one final,
Yeah.
yeah, you were giving the second book.
The other book I was going to tell you is I think this author has probably written very few books, but I came across it 18 years ago. I am a cancer survivor, and so when I got cancer, somebody gifted me that book. It's called Heartfelt, and it's by an author called Cyrus Merchant. He used to be a columnist for a Bombay magazine, and then had a spiritual awakening and then started writing. It's essentially about spirituality, and not so much about a particular religion, but just spirituality, that accept who your God is and just focus on goodness in life. And I think that has made a very big difference to me.
I'm surprised, and I just heard you saying that you have crossed the hurdle of the most deadliest of the diseases. And yeah,
The grace of the Almighty.
The grace of the Almighty. And I think that's a brilliant input again. So parents, yes, some books for you, some Rajma Chawla for you.
Yeah, and Chinese food once in a while.
And Chinese food.
Once in a few months.
Once in a while, great. So there we are. I know, I wish that the conversation never ends, and this keeps going on and on and
Lovely.
on and on. And what a brilliant conversation. I'm moved, and especially when you spoke about these principles, and then you gave examples of the same. Now, to all the parents out there, I have a concluding message, which is you heard some brilliant wisdom which otherwise might not have been available to you if you were, the exception being if they were a part of the school, right? So now what you apply from this one simple principle or one simple thought, one simple ideology, one simple change that you make today based on what you heard today is going to impact your child for the rest of his life, for the rest of her life. And we really look forward to you making those minor changes, because somewhere in the conversation it was said small is big, so small is actually big. Make those small changes. And thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.